today at church. First and foremost is we're going to be reflecting on our Jamaican trip. And so the young adults are going to be presenting their reflections on the trip. And the adults will all be helping with the service. Also, we're testing our new sound system. This is the first Sunday. And so we'll be testing it and adjusting it. Rick Dooley or somebody is here with a little leaf pad thing that, it's not a leaf pad, but it's... Sorry. It's a little computer thing that they'll adjust dogs. If it's too loud, do you have it? See, he's adjusting all the levels with that. So if it's too loud or too soft, just the flowers today, we celebrate today by the Charlotte family because Kelly and Tim are celebrating 20 years of wedding bliss. So we celebrate those flowers today. The other thing we celebrate today is the 20th anniversary of our thrift store. These ladies have sought to sell clothing at a reduced price for 20 years, and they've done it incredibly well. They've given away over $150,000 over the years. They don't take any of it themselves. There's no salaries. And so if you have anything to do with the thrift shop, please stand up. Really, stand up if you work at the thrift shop. Folks who were instrumental in starting that were Louise Colborne, Barb Blanchett, and Bernie Courier. So if you see them, thank you. The last announcement I have is from the strategic plan that council had in the church. We're doing an evaluation of every program of the church. The best way for you to do that is to get on the computer and plug in this Survey Monkey thing. For those of you that have no idea what I'm talking about, we also have some hard copies. But it saves a lot of time if you just plug in this little thing, the survey comes up, you answer it online, and you're done. And it puts all the results together by computer. It's unbelievable. So these little things are in the back as well as some of the hard copies. If you do the hard copies, bring them in to the church office and we'll put them in ourselves.
Just for a little follow-up on that, if you get the newsletter by email, in there will be the link, the thing as referenced, which is a link to go to the survey, so you can just click on that link. Otherwise, Mark has little orange pieces of paper, type in that link, and it'll take you right to the survey. Or you can go to the bulletin, either by scanning in the back or by going to the church website. You can find a link in there. And we'll also add it to the front page of the website in a week. Today, we have junior high youth group right after church at 11:30. Senior high youth group is tonight at 5 o'clock. And then this Saturday, Covenant Hills, we're closing for the season. We're getting things winterized, so if you'd like to come and join us and do a little bit of outdoor work on Saturday, let me know. And then Saturday night is a concert. It's called Rocktober. They're bringing in a number of Christian bands into Burlington at the Alliance Church, and there are some flyers downstairs. We've got some discounted tickets with Dr. Gloria and I, if you're interested in that. And start planning for Halloween. I bet most of you little kids already started thinking. The last Sunday of this month, the 25th, will be the Halloween party. And my last announcement is right up here for grown-ups and not the kids, is there's a workshop that the Vermont Conference is putting on. It's called Church in the Inventive Age, and we'd love to have a couple other folks join us. There'll be about 10 of us going from the church. And it is envisioning looking at the church as it is growing and becoming, and how we continue to faithfully tell our story as a church. So if you're interested in that, please let me know. Thanks.
Good morning. I feel like if I get too close, I'm children, today, this is Jamaica Sunday, and we actually are in worship today. And there's children's bulletins that help you follow along with the service, with nice little pictures as to what's coming up next, as well as when it comes to our quiet centering time at the very beginning, you will see a finger labyrinth that you can follow and trace with your finger as we're all in our quiet time. Also, today is junior youth group. We will be meeting and gathering in Fellowship Hall for 5th and 6th graders. So if you're here for that, if you haven't done your paperwork and registered, I've got that, so not to worry. It's all downstairs to help us out. Also today, and beginning, our nursery is actually it's transitioning from a play time to more of a focal of faith formation. And Heather is doing a great job in helping us to make that transition for our nursery kids once they move into preschool class. So she has a sign up downstairs for one extra person. We have 2 wonderful volunteers who've been doing at least one Sunday every month, and that's Barbara Williams and Kelly Charlie. But we'd like to fill those other gaps for the other weeks. And if your nursery child, your toddler is feeling comfortable and you'd like to walk away, feel comfortable to walk away and actually help and volunteer on a Sunday and pick that Sunday and sign up for that. So speaking more to Heather, if you'd like to know more as to how the nursery is transitioning.
One last quick thing before we get started. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Rick Dooley. Happy birthday to you.
We're also thrilled to have Walt Mahoney leading a Bible study on Monday evenings. We'll be doing a study on parables. Walt is an ordained clergy, and so if you can't make it to this Tuesday morning session or the Wednesday evening, I encourage you to come. You've heard Walt preach. He leads a great Bible study, so if you're interested in that, please come. There's information in here. Thank you. Now, observe just a few seconds of silence and to transition to our worship.
Preschoolers and our kindergartners and our first and second graders, come on up. We're going to sing our song.
I know, that's good.
God's love by tending to the needs of a preschool and community clinic.
Manifest as God's presence.
The financial support, prayers, and love we received from all of you made our trip and efforts one centered in the heart of this community.
When we work together, we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. Thank you for partnering with us in this Jamaican mission trip.
We learned so much about life and love that our journeys will never be the same. We have been transformed by this trip.
Let us learn from you and rededicate ourselves to the work of Christ in the world. Come, let us worship our God.
Now please stand and join us in singing our opening hymn, the first two verses of My Life Goes On, and end the song number 476, first two verses.
I'd like to invite all the kids up. But look at all the kids that came. They're all here. In your Sunday school classrooms, you have a basket. Yes?
Yes.
What is your basket for?
Offering stuff.
Offering.
For
For money. Where is your money going? In the basket. And then our basket ends up on the altar. And then we thank God for all our giving. And then we collect the money and it goes in the bank, and someday it's going to have a big check, which currently right now is over $400. It's getting bigger, and it gets to continue to grow until the very, very end of December.
Like a plant.
Like a plant, it will continue to grow. And inside your basket are these nice little dolls. Do you remember a story about these dolls? No? No. These dolls are very similar and look just like the dolls that you will hear and see in the pictures later up on the wall that went all the way to Jamaica and were given to the kids at the Curtis Bottom School. And also in your basket there is a white stone that is actually from the beach at Jamaica. You want to pass this stone around? The stone may be passed. And you have your offering envelopes, right? Sometimes you put the regular money in here, and sometimes it goes into an offering envelope. Now today, okay? It's really important that it goes into this kind of envelope, so that when the money gets separated and counted, they know that exactly where this money wants to go. It wants to go to where?
To the houses.
To the children in Jamaica. Can we all repeat that? It's going to the children in Jamaica. Now, when we were also there, we took many things with us. We took books for their library. But what we thought would be really nice is if we actually were able to give them their own book that they could take home with them and have it home and read. Do you have books at your house?
Yes.
Do you like to read the books at your house? And maybe your mom and dad help you read the books in your house? I'm not going to actually take the time to read this book this morning, because I think you're going to enjoy what's going to happen on the wall much better. So you need to be able to see the wall up there and all the kids, because it's going to turn into a video and not just a picture. And when we were there, they actually gave us a present and they sang for us. So let's move all down so we can see. So those are the children of Jamaica that we will be giving books to, so they can read at home. So I'm going to let you go back to your seats and look for those Sunday school offering envelopes in your pews, so when offering time comes later, you can continue to give.
So, I was one of the people who went on the mission trip to Jamaica, and there we did some work at the school and the medical clinic, and I think that was some pretty humble work, as it being a mission trip, service trip type thing. And Jesus is saying here that those who do humble there. We worked with some of the Jamaican folks, and they came and they helped us out and showed us how to do things the Jamaican way. And after we were done working one day, they came and they brought us a bunch of mangoes, and they showed us the correct way to eat them with your hands and your mouth. So, and this was humbling, and we felt humility, and Lori feels humiliated. And people just kept giving us mangoes because they were so happy we were there. And so after a while, our fridge in the hotel was full of mangoes. And my next story is on home visits. Home visits were where we went with the medical clinic ladies to visit some homes and check in on the people there and see how they were doing. And at this one house, there was this elderly couple, Mr. and Mrs. Marks, and they had some plants growing in their front yard around them there, and they gave us some of the medicine. This is medicine, apparently. And there are these little beans inside, and you peel them, and you chew them, or you grind them up, and you put them in your coffee or something, and they don't taste that good. So we were talking to them, and they told me to try one, and I didn't know what it was going to be like. Chewed it, and I was sort of struggling through this conversation and trying to be polite. And so afterwards, it was like, I'm glad this is over. And then I made Mark try it. And so at the end of the trip, my last story, we got to spend time with the kids for like, Jamie said it was like 3 hours or something before we had our official presentation end of the trip. And this, I think everybody who was on the team can agree that this was one of the most rewarding experiences of the whole thing, because the kids are just so happy to see us, and we have fun with the kids. And this is Steve here, who's pretty cool. He like tickled me with that feather, and I tickled him, and it was really fun. And then, so the next picture is that guy who was sleeping in the video. And I mean, he's kind of scared and intimidated by what we were doing, but I think he realized that we were all doing a good thing. So thank you.
Please join me in prayer. Loving God, we come before you now to raise the names of people who need your presence in powerful and personal ways. Come into their lives and bring healing, wholeness, and peace. Hear us now as we raise their names in this family of faith. Hear our prayers, dear God, and hear us now as we raise our own personal prayers to you in silence. Gracious God, for the power of community, we lift up to you the spoken and unspoken prayers of our hearts. We ask for healing, peace, hope, comfort, and direction. We also lift up the community of Port Orient, Jamaica. We ask your blessing upon the children, families, and teachers at Curtis Bottom Basic School, and the medical staff and those served by the Port Orient Health Center. We ask your blessing upon those who greeted our team so warmly and took such good care of us in Jamaica. On this World Communion Day, we celebrate with all of your children around the globe the abundance of your love for us. Our names, our languages, and our way of doing things may be different, but we are all made in your image. We share the same hopes, fears, and dreams for our families and for our children. We can learn so much from each other. In this congregation, we are very fortunate. Most of us have shelter, running water, food, strength and creativity and courage and joy and generosity are possible in all circumstances. Dear God, we face many challenges in the world today. Let us not be silent. Grant us the courage to speak for those who have no voice and to welcome those who have no home, especially those who are fleeing from violence. Let us reach out to those in the margins and bring them into community with radical hospitality. Let us take whatever steps we can to protect this earth that we all share. God, grant the leaders of our country and nations around the world the wisdom and humility to work together to address these challenges. And now let us join with others around the world today and say the prayer Jesus taught us.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever.
Comforting and challenging words before the next reflection. People were bringing even infants to him that he might touch them. When the disciples saw it, they sternly ordered them not to do it. But Jesus called for them and said, "Let the children come to me, and do not stop them. For it is to such as these that the kingdom of God belongs. Truly I tell you, whoever does not receive the kingdom of God as a child will never enter." God bless the reading and understanding of these words and this great reflection from me.
Hello everyone. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Nick Bufard. I found out about this mission trip opportunity through Mandy Work, a member of your congregation. And I had the wonderful pleasure of getting to know the team throughout the week, and I'd like to thank you all for being so welcoming to the community. I too put together a presentation about our time in Jamaica, mainly focusing on our home visits and just the contrast and impoverished life down there in Jamaica. So these are the clinical staff we work with. These nurses are an essential part of their community down in Jamaica. They actually reach out into the community and touch base with all the pregnant women and new mothers with infant babies, and they keep track of the health and records of these infants, and they make sure that these women are doing everything they should be in order to produce healthy and well-established children. One of these things that they do is encourage breastfeeding, because companies like Nestle and others have been encouraging formula use for feeding babies because the American women do it, and that's, I guess, the cool thing to do. But since these women are poor and they're often alone in their parenting endeavors, they will water down the formula to stretch it out longer, which of course some of the babies are not getting enough nutrients. So overall, it's not as good of a condition. So they encourage the breastfeeding because it's free and it's got everything you need. So this first house, Sharon and I, along with Ms. Rowe, the nurse in the blue uniform there, visited two houses on our little walk throughout the community. And in this first one, you can see half the house in this picture. Ms. Rowe is currently checking in with the mother about the infant inside, while I was outside being entertained by Rakoya here. She was a very energetic young girl. She was very fascinated with my camera. She tried to take a couple pictures herself, but it never quite came out right. They have, it's not in this picture, it's just off to the left a little bit on the other half of the house. They had a little charcoal set up. That was their kitchen. It was maybe this high off the ground, a little grill. I'd say like a strainer, as if you were rinsing out berries and stuff. That was what they cooked on. So that was their kitchen, which I was amazed by how basic it was. On the next slide, you'll see the interior. This is one of the bedrooms, or I'd say the bedroom, where a twin bed filled up pretty much the entire space. And you can see Rokoya on the left sitting next to Rakea, the newborn. It's just another fact about the roof, just made of corrugated steel, basic materials. You can see, yeah, you can just see some of the clothes that she has there. You can see a couple, I think it was her nesting doll, but I'm not sure. In the next slide, we go to more of the spectrum of wealth. You can see this well-built house. It's made of concrete. They've got fences. They have a spot for a car. And of course, if you have a car, then you know you're up in the higher percentile down in Jamaica. Look again. We'll see the other end of the spectrum. This is not one of the houses we visited, but it was kind of a shining example of the lowest that you might find. They get to their house by crossing a little rudimentary bridge, and it crosses a little river, which means during on the chance that they do get rain down there, it is very easily flooded. And then in case of a hurricane, you wouldn't imagine this thing surviving too long. Next. So we also walked through town a little bit, and we saw the library, and I was very impressed. They had a summer program going on at the moment. So while during the fall, kids will be at school, during the summer they'll come to the library for some more learning. I was impressed just by how it was actually well stocked. I was impressed to see that they're still committed to their education. And I put that piece in about the no shoes with the girl on the left there until I realized that she has flip-flops right there. But that it does remind me it's not a full, it's not a lie exactly, because as we were walking along, there was a woman that asked Sharon if she could have her shoes. So that was just they are in somewhat recognition, and I think the help that we give is very, very well appreciated. So thank you.
Matthew chapter 25, verses 37 and 40. Then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when was it we saw you hungry and gave you food, or thirsty and gave you something to drink? And when was it that we saw you a stranger and welcomed you, or naked and gave you clothing? And when was it that we saw you sick or in prison and visited you? And the king will answer them, truly I tell you, just as you did it to one of the least of these, you did it to me. So I also went on the trip to Jamaica, and one of the main messages I'll be talking about, or things that I noticed while I was there, will be how every single day we would go to work at the schools, and there would be new members of the community that we were in. There would be new people coming to visit the school. They'd be coming to help us, or they'd be coming to see how much progress we've made since we got there. And my dad was using a power tool, and a kid came over. And we was just walking on the street and kind of glanced over and then just walked right in and kind of asked if he could use it more, just was like eyeing it. And then my dad was like, here, want to try? And there they don't really have power tools, so this was kind of a new opportunity for this kid. And there were similar things that happened while we were there. Every day there would be some new guy saying that he went to the school when he was a kid, or his daughters went there, or a mom saying that her 4 or 5 daughters had come to the school. And it was just really nice to see how many people were really involved with this school and how parents were really trying to educate their kids with any possibility that they had. And this is what the school looked like when we got there. It was kind of cluttered and rotten, and pieces of wood were just thrown onto the sides of the school because there was a hurricane that had happened, and there was half a rainbow going one way, and then on the other side of the building there was a half of a rainbow going another way. And so they had just put the pieces of wood right back on wherever they could find a place for them. So when we painted it, it looked really nice, and it looked much better than it had before. And the final day that we worked in the school, we were able to meet all the children, and they were with their moms because their dads weren't really around. And the kids would have, or like one mom would have kids from a couple different dads, and the kids' eyes lit up whenever we brought something new out of the bag. And they were super excited to see the dolls and the Beanie Babies, but they were even more excited to see the books. When we gave them books, they opened them up and just looked around, and all of them wanted to take one home, but we had to tell them that it had to be for the library at the school. And so then we came up with the idea that the offering would be going to making it so that these kids could have a book at home, which is something that's very rare for them in Jamaica. So it was a really cool experience to see how excited the kids were to getting these gifts that they had never seen before.
And this morning I will be giving 2 stewardship moments, one personal and one from missions. I want to start by saying I was a little apprehensive about giving the personal speech this morning. Being this is a stewardship campaign, I was worried my giving was more of my time than it was monetary. But a good friend, actually 2, told me that that's just as important and speak from my heart. So I will. I've also written this 3 times. I give to the church, this church, because it's the place I chose to start my journey in understanding my faith and learning what it means to be Christian. I give to this church for the music, all the music. It fills the sanctuary and it fills me as well. I give because each week, Reverend Mark or Reverend Ryan has a sermon that I can learn from that sometimes challenges me to think differently and keep an open mind. Another reason I give is 11 and talk back, where you can feel safe when you disagree about a point of view and still be friends. Women's spirituality, we can plan an activity, just spend time chatting, and also lift each other's spirits when we're feeling down. And my family, a very big reason to give. Even though they aren't here, I will speak for them. The fact that all are welcome is very important to us. Bruce was on the Open and Affirming Committee and was very glad to be part of that. My daughter Anna is away at college where she is resident advisor and helps students in her dorm. She is proud of her dad for being on that committee. She has friends that are gay and transgender, and she is understanding that even though people are more accepting, there is still prejudice to deal with. And for my son Matt, who has had his struggles with social situations, he has learned a lot from helping our food pantry. I give because I'm grateful that he is a safe, supportive place to learn and help people at the same time. Believe me, he takes his position at the food pantry seriously. He doesn't want to get fired. And most of all, I give to this church because there is love here. Thank you. And now on behalf of the Missions Committee, we're in today. I would like to first thank you all for your support. Whether it is 3 pledges, since a portion of that money goes to help the mission budget, and your time, or if you help by donation, cupcakes, for instance, for the Calcutta event. We appreciate it. It was an exciting year. We helped support our first international missions trip to Jamaica this summer. You will hear stories from our Jamaica team this morning's service, and I find it appropriate to be talking about missions on World Community Day. Thank you to the Jamaica team and everyone that helped make this trip a success. In keeping with our mission statement to help those in need, locally, nationally, and globally, Missions sent donations in Nepal following the devastating earthquake in April. To be more specific, we have a connection to Happy Heart, or site on YouTube, the funds went there. Locally, we continued with our donations to Meals on Wheels, Jump, COTS, and the Summer Lunch Program. Supporting COTS is so important because there's still so many homeless people. In fact, COTS campaign was #172 this year. That means there are 172 children in Chittenden County alone that are homeless. A staggering but true fact. This year, we raised our donation to the Ecumenical Summer Lunch Program. This helps families with children who are in need by bringing them lunch items weekly throughout the summer. In 2014, the number of families that they were helping doubled from the year before. This year, 150 children were helped by the Summer Lunch Program. We helped send a child to summer camp at Covenant Hills, a great experience for a child. Missions will support the Crop Walk team in October, which raises funds to help stop hunger in the U.S. and around the world. Mission Possible, which is formed as a subcommittee between Missions and Christian Ed, offers a family-friendly, hands-on approach to helping those in need. Some of their projects include baking goods for the Vermont Respite Home and gardening during the spring, helping with the Vermont Food Bank in Barrie, helping with a dinner at Dismas House in Winooski, Coat Drive. Remember, these are just a few. Our project for the fall is an effort to help Jump, which is a joint urban ministry project. Their female clients are in need of feminine hygiene products and toiletries. As you know, these can be very expensive. Our church has helped Jump with this need in the past. We'd like to start again. To launch our project, we'll be showing the movie The Red Tent, based on the book by Anita Diamant. I would like to give a shout out to 2 other missions of this church that do a great service for our community. The food pantry and thrift store. Thank you for all your time and work that you put in. It's appreciated. I know 2016 is right around the corner, and although I'm finishing my term and going off missions, I have every confidence they will continue with your help to do great things for those in need. They already have plans in motion for the next Calcutta event in March. This will help to fund the next mission trip to Jamaica in 2017 if I can go. There will also be another fundraising event to be announced. I had a wonderful time on missions, and being the chairperson was both a personal and spiritual time of growth for me, and I had the chance to work with great people. If you haven't already, I would encourage you to be part of a committee. And there's also other ways to be involved. Volunteering has many rewards. You can make a difference. Thank you.
myself before God on high? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, with 10,000s of rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? He has told you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you, but to do justice and to love kindness. So, I went to Jamaica, and so we worked on the Curtis Bottom Basic School, and you can see here the before, which has paper all over the walls. It's kind of nasty. There's white paint. It's falling apart. And so we took down all the paper and stuff, threw most of it away, and repainted the walls and painted these lovely murals. And it felt really good to be able to walk into the finished school and see what we had done and know that we did that and that we helped all these people who learn here. And this is a before and after of the health center. This, it doesn't show very well, but we repainted the railing, we repainted the blue on the bottom there, and we repainted everything inside. And there was a lot to paint. And a lot. And on the first day, when Sharon took us to the health center in the school and showed us what we'd be doing, I was like, there's no way we can do that in 8 days. But we worked together, and it felt really good to be able to finish. And these are some children that we saw at when we did our home visits. I did not see these children, but somebody else took a good picture. And so we got to see these people's houses. And as Nick already told you, their houses were really, really flimsy. Like, most of them were just made of corrugated cardboard or corrugated metal. This is actually a really good house. But these people were very welcoming, and they were more than happy to welcome us into their homes. And this here is Mark. He's jumping off a waterfall that we got to do on the last day. And it was really fun because our tour guide, led us up this river, and we got to swim through caves, and it was a lot of fun. And then we got to jump off this waterfall. And that was really fun, but we got to have fun every day. We got to go in the ocean when it was too hot to work, and we just had a lot of fun, and it really helped to make us be more together, like work as a team, and get to know one another and connect in a way that just working together on the health center and school couldn't do.
Thank you for that message. It's now time in our service to give back to our God. Will the ushers please come forward?
One I will be reading some remarks from Mandy Ward, who's a valued member of our trip to Jamaica. She is away in college. She's a valued member here. She'll be speaking herself. She writes about poverty. The poverty that we saw while in Jamaica was something that we felt we could not mentally prepare ourselves for. It's easy to say that there is extreme poverty in a country, but it's much more difficult to see firsthand how it affects people's lives and their communities. Here in Geneva, New York, I have volunteered in parts of the inner city where it is less safe because there is more poverty. Something that has struck me about poverty since we visited Jamaica is that people our age either ignore or deny the people that live in poverty, or they have a very negative view on the poor and see poverty as this terrible thing. Sometimes they act like it's contagious, and it dehumanizes the poor and puts up a barrier that is hard to break down when we were trying to help people. I thought it was very valuable that in Jamaica, we were able to form productive and reciprocal relationships with the locals, and that's how I wish we would approach poverty in Geneva and other places in the United States. The trip to Jamaica has made me more aware that I want to change the way that some young people understand poverty. And she wrote about children. The kids were very thankful for everything that we brought for them. Meeting the kids at this school was amazing and a ton of fun, and I think we all fell in love with them. They were very curious and enthusiastic and really wanted to know what our lives were like. They were also very interested in our technology, and they took a lot of funny videos and pictures. Talking to the kids, it was interesting to see their cultural differences. One young girl asked me if I was married, and when I said no, she acted surprised, because at my age, some, if not most women, are married or have children. They easily opened up and wanted to interact with us, which is why it worked out so well.
Please join me in the unison prayer of confession found in the bulletin. Loving God, we have heard about your children in Jamaica through the eyes of our young adults. When we become too focused on our own nation at the expense of others, remind us of the wideness of your glance. When we become too focused on our own children at the expense of other kids of different views, tongues, and cultures, remind us of the diversity of your family. When we live a little too comfortably, remind us of others who go to bed hungry without adequate food or clothing. Dear God, forgive us and help us as individuals and as a community to do more for others. In Christ's name, amen. Jesus forgives us and asks us to behave differently. We will try to live more faithful lives.
One of the things that drew our group together at the end of the day was the meal. And we tried some native meals and we had some comfort food. And so in Jesus' movement, he did a lot of ministry around the table at meals to get people together. That's what we do. We try as a family to eat dinner together, and if we can do that 3 times a week, we're doing pretty good. So we strive to do that, as I know all of you strive to do that. So let us come to this table and be united in ways that only food can draw us. We remember on the night of the betrayal, Jesus took the bread and blessed and broke it. And he gave it to his disciples, and he said, "This is my body, which is broken for you. Do this in remembrance of me."
In like manner, Jesus took the cup. He poured it, he blessed it, he gave thanks, saying, "This is the cup of the new covenant, that you might have new life in me." This morning we'll receive communion by intinction, which we will invite you to come forward with the bread, take it and dip it in the cup. We'll start in the front, outside. So as the folks go back, say how you say it.
Sure, the trick is for everyone in the middle inside to stay seated until those on this side go back and down and up. Otherwise, everyone stands up for the entire time. And then the balcony can come with it. This is all gluten-free and alcohol-free elements, so everyone is welcome. And we can come as a family or groups of people or friends.
Loving God, we give thanks that you called us to this table to be refreshed and renewed in your love. Send us forth in your grace. In Jesus' name. Amen. I invite you to rise and join in our closing hymn. We'll sing one verse of We Will Be Building. The first verse. Share that the trip to Jamaica bought this communion ware for the church, and it's made of, I believe it's made of native wood, and maybe mahogany, I think, because that's a native wood down there. So during a teaching, we have some cups and plates for them when we can remember the trip. And may God bless you, keep you, may God's face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May God bless you with kindness and grant every single one of you peace. Amen.